Hello, it's great to be with you again at this special time of collective worship. It's a time when we think about remembering, thinking of other people and the things they do for us. And when we remember, we quite often use pictures or symbols or signs to help us to remember. And so those signs and symbols have special meaning. And I want just to go through, just to start us off, by looking at some symbols that we see uh, most days or every so often, and to think about what those signs represent and the feelings or the emotions they stir within us. And you may want pen and paper so you can write them down. And after I've gone through these few pictures, you may just want to pause the video for a moment or two just to share in your class your thoughts and feelings before we continue. So thinking about remembering and what signs and symbols mean to us and the feelings they stir within us, let's start. For the first one, what do you think that sign means, represents, and what do you think or feel when you see that one? Okay, next one. What do you think this is? And again, what do you think when you see this picture or this symbol? What about this one? What do you think those letters mean? And what do you think or feel when you see those when you're out and about? Have you seen this badge? Do you know what it represents? And what do you think when you see this one? Now this badge might be a little bit more tricky. You may not have seen that one. So but give it your best shot as to what you think that badge represents. Who wears that badge? Where might you see it? And what about this one? What do you think this one represents? And what do you think when you see it? And what about this one? It perhaps might be a little bit more obvious when you see the words there. So what do you think this organisation does and what do you think of that? So we come to our final one. What do you think this is and what do you think this represents? Okay. So at this point you may just want to pause the video and share amongst yourselves what they mean and what they represent. Okay, so we're now going to think about these. Oops, there we go. So I'm probably sure you've guessed what this one is. This one is McDonald's restaurant, and I'm sure when you see that you get very excited and feel very, very hungry. And you go for your burger. This one is the flag of England. It makes up part of the Union flag of the United Kingdom, represents England. It's also the cross of St. George. And for a lot of people, this can be a feeling of pride because we're part of England and this sort of sense of belonging and things like that. The NHS is the National Health Service, a very important organisation. It's the place where we go to be made better. We see doctors and nurses and all sorts of people, and I'm sure it gives us a sense of hope and reassurance to know that there is places we can go when we're not feeling very well, or those we love and care are not feeling very well. This badge you may or may not recognise. This is the badge for the Scouting organisation, the Cubs, the Scouts and Beavers. Maybe you are a member or you know someone who is joins, or maybe you're a brownie or a guide. And again, can be a sense of pride because you belong to a great organisation. It's a place where you feel belonging and being part of something greater. This badge, I said, might be a bit more tricky. This one is the badge of the Royal Air Force. The Royal Air Force has been in existence for just over 100 years, and we might feel a sense of reassurance because we know the Royal Air Force is there to protect us in times of war and conflict. So that's that one there. Well, need I say much more? Computer games, I'm sure whether you've got PS4 or some other game, you get perhaps excited that this is a time for fun and excitement. Help for Heroes, they have been around for quite a few years now. They raise money to help men and women who are in our armed forces who have been wounded. And so again, you may know someone who's been in the forces. So this is a badge, a symbol of hope and reassurance to know that though people have made sacrifices, they are there to help and support one another. So that's a good thing to do. Of course, this famous red poppy, and this is what we wear around about this time of year on Remembrance Day and Remembrance Sunday. And I just want to now just to think a little bit more about the poppy and what it means and when we wear it. Now we wear the poppy on the 11th of November, which is Remembrance Day, but we also remember it on the second Sunday of November, which we will call Remembrance Sunday. It's an annual event where the whole country comes together to think and reflect and remember those men and women who have fought in conflicts over the last 100 years or so, those who've lost their lives or have been very badly injured. We started after the First World War, after the scenes of terrible devastation, and the countryside was destroyed. But in the midst of that, all these poppies grew. So they became a symbol of hope, of new life, and a new beginning. So in 1919, this country held the first Remembrance Day on the 11th of November at 11 o'clock in the morning, when the guns fell silent in 1918. And we've been doing it every year since then. And of course, we don't remember just those of the First World War, we do it for those who fought and died and got badly injured during the Second World War. And we also remember those who fought in conflict since then over the decades. So it's an important time to remember those who have made a huge sacrifice, often the loss of their lives, to fight and defend for our freedom. So it's important to be thankful that we are free to do so much, that we can go out and about and we can go on holiday and we can watch TV, and there's so many things we can do because they have fought for our freedom and often at their own cost of their lives. There's a couple of other symbols I want to share with you now. These are the two, and in a moment you might just want to pause the video just to think to yourselves and to think what these two symbols represent, these two crosses, what they might be called and what they mean. So you may just want to pause now for a couple of minutes and then come back and we'll continue. So we have two crosses here. Now the first one, which would be on the top left of the screen, this one is the Victoria Cross. This was created in the 1850s, over 170 years ago, during the Crimea conflict, and the army wanted to mark those men and women who performed acts of incredible bravery during conflict, and so they created the Victoria Cross. This is the highest award that can be ever presented to someone in our armed forces for acts of incredible bravery and self-sacrifice. Because it's so, you have to do incredible things, not that many have been awarded, only a few hundred. When you think of how many have served in our armed forces over that time, very few have got this award because they've done incredible acts of bravery and sacrifice. The next cross, we may have different names for it. We may say this is the cross of Jesus or whatever, but I want to call it, in this instance, the Victory Cross. I call it the Victory Cross because it reminds us that on that cross upon which Jesus died at a great cost to him and great courage and self-sacrifice, he won an incredible victory. He defeated death and sin and made it possible to be friends, for us to be friends with God again. So that's why I call it Victory Cross, because he won an amazing victory. And so that's why Christians wear a cross, why you see crosses on churches, because it is a reminder of what Jesus has done and is doing, that gives us with hope and confidence and reassurance. So we're almost coming to an end with our collective worship. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. But just to think again about all these signs and symbols and pictures of what they mean and what they represent. But to think about the really important ones like the red poppy and Victoria Cross and the Cross of Jesus, because they represent people who have done incredibly brave things. They've made a great sacrifice, often at the loss of their own life, in order for our benefit, our freedom. It's made it possible um, to help, hopefully, to make the world a better place. And so I'd like you just to have a thought about what can we do to help make the world a better place. We can remember, Remembrance Day, we can buy our poppy and wear it, think about those men and women, but we can also think about what can we do to make the world a better place. We can't necessarily change the whole wide world or our country, but we can make a difference to those around us. A smile, a friendly wave, saying nice, kind things to people helps make the world a better place. Because when people are feeling happy and relaxed and valued and cared for, we reduce the need of conflict and division. We make the world a better place. And we can all do that. We can all say kind things. We can all be helpful. We can all say kind, pleasant, polite things. Something to think about. So I'm going to share a prayer with you now. So I invite you to put your hands together as we say a prayer. Let us pray. Dear God, we thank you today for the freedom we enjoy as a nation and as individuals. Freedom of speech and expression, freedom from war and oppression, a freedom secured at such enormous human cost. We thank you for those who made such freedom possible, the countless thousands who sacrificed life and limb in 2 world wars and in subsequent conflicts, leaving homes and loved ones, often to return no more. We thank you for all who have fought against oppression, hatred, and evil, prepared to sacrifice everything, rather than allow such forces to hold sway. And we salute their courage shown in the face of danger, their dedication to duty. And we thank you for the peace we enjoy today, a peace which we need to treasure constantly, nurture carefully, and safeguard always, recognizing the price at which it was won. We thank you, dear God. Amen. Amen. So thank you very much for this time together. It's been a delight and a pleasure to share this time. So I want to say farewell. Thank you. Take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye for now.